right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back
from our long winter's nap.
Happy New Year to one and all. We are entering the conference championship this weekend here at the No Punt Intended podcast here on Entertainment Buddha. Be sure to check us out online at www.entertainmentbuddha.com, where we make you a better geek one post at a time. With me, as always, on National Kiss a Ginger Day is Mr. Justin Ludwig.
Ready for the penultimate playoff week. And it's been... We made an unofficial pact that we were going to try and go 11-0 through the playoffs, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get anywhere close.
No.
Such is life.
Yes.
Such is life. Just like Des Bryant almost making a miraculous play, we came up just, not a yard short, but we came up short.
Yeah, that... I understand the rule, and technically they made the right call by rule standards, but that's a rule that needs to be changed.
The more I think about it, the dumber I think it is, because the gut reaction, I saw it, and they make the reversal and they explain it, and you think, all right, that's fine. And then the more I think about it, is that I guess my point of clarification: if he breaks the plane, is that a touchdown? Even if he hits the ground and it pops out, is that still a touchdown?
Right, and that would be the question, because he looks like, at least in my opinion, in many people's opinion, he looked like he was trying to lunge for the goal line.
Well, that's the other thing. It's he takes like 2 steps.
He has control. He clearly has control.
Right, and he has.
But the ball pops out before he hit, when he hits the ground.
He has the awareness
barely.
that he knows where he is, so he extends.
Right,
and that's when it jumps out. But it's. The crux of my whole thing is it's unfortunate that 2 playoff games have now come to a polarizing call instead of, one team is clearly significant to the other.
Right. No, I agree. And it goes back to, I was listening to the radio. They were talking about how, that's not considered a catch, but a guy who makes a tiptoe catch at the sideline, doesn't take any steps, just falls out of bounds. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. It's just kind of, they need to figure out a better way to go about this. Like any other play, they say, the ground can't cause a fumble, but in this case, it can cause an incompletion. It's especially like you said, after he took 2 steps and he had control, and I guess they just have to better define a football move, as they say. But I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
It's okay. I'm pretty sure Dallas wouldn't have won the Super Bowl anyway. But
I'm okay. I'm as an Eagles fan, I'm okay that they didn't win this game. But I think they were, and who knows? Even if they do score there's still time on the clock for Aaron Rodgers, who was on fire that second half.
There's that
to march down the field. So it's not like a guaranteed win, but it definitely should have come down to the Packers having to make a drive and not the referees, taking the headlines.
Right.
But such is football.
You're right. Such is football. So how much time was left? There was...
I was thinking there was a couple minutes.
There's 4:06 left.
Yeah.
So they charged down. But then the other dumb thing is too, it was, what was it? 3rd and 3, and they make that stupid catch off the tip pass.
Right.
So it clearly wasn't meant to be. I guess they spent all their karma the week before. Well,
and now we get Seattle and Green Bay, which should be an interesting game.
Yeah, but Seattle would have been better because...
true. And especially because Dallas beat them earlier this year in Seattle.
Exactly. I don't know... See, what was the last game? Seattle won 36-16.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Their running game isn't up to speed.
Right.
And that's how Dallas won.
Yeah, but a hurt Aaron Rodgers is still better than majority of the other quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, for the Packers against the Seahawks, they need something out of Eddie Lacy, but we'll get to that.
We'll get there.
There has been some coaching changes here and there since we were last on the air. Jason Garrett agreed to a deal today for 5 years to stay in stay in Dallas. John Fox split ways with the Broncos.
Thanks for not making it past the divisional round, John.
Because it's all his fault. Apparently Peyton Manning was playing with a quad injury, but whether that's true or just something to try and explain his performance, he choked that game. Like he was over. I don't know if you were watching, but he was overthrowing his receivers. They didn't use CJ Anderson as much or as well as they should have. I fully expected them to beat Indianapolis, and obviously that wasn't the case.
Losing to the Indy Colts.
He'll have lots of time to enjoy those chicken parms.
They do taste so good. Yeah. That's the dumb. Like, I guess it's fun to watch Andrew Luck in a conference championship, but these two matchups are the ones that I didn't want to see, based on the games that were last Sunday. I mean, I'm saying that, after we saw that New England punched their ticket and Seattle punched their ticket, the two outcomes from the Sunday games are the ones that I'm the least interested in.
Right.
Just because it would have been fun to see Dallas go to Seattle, because I feel like they had the better chance. And it would have been fun to see Manning versus Brady again, because that's a fun one.
Yeah.
Top tier rivalries. But instead we get what we have. So
at least now with the Colts, we have a quarterback who doesn't have a ring in Andrew Luck. All the rest of the team, Brady, Rodgers, and Wilson all have rings. So at least there's a slight possibility that a new quarterback will get a ring,
I guess.
But I don't know if they can beat New England.
Yeah, I have things to say about the Colts, but it corresponds to other things. So we'll get there. I'm sure we'll get there in our itinerary.
Yeah.
So anyway,
real quick, big shout out for Entertainment Buddha's editor-in-chief Matt Haywood's alumnus winning the national championship. I did not expect them to beat Oregon. I did not expect them to blow out Oregon, but Ohio State did the job with a third-string quarterback.
Yeah, Ohio State made their opponent look like they needed an organ transplant. Yuck. Wordplay.
Puns. Yeah, he was at that game. I was kind of jealous that he was there. I mean, it was been real cool to be a part of the first ever college championship or playoff championship, and the fact that it was his alma mater. For him to be there to see that would probably a really, really awesome moment, especially after his Steelers got knocked out of the playoffs.
And to see that stadium too.
Oh yeah, and to see Jerry's World.
Yep.
That would be. It's just ginormous.
Pretty rad.
So crazy, but yeah. So he's flying high for sure. But I'm interested in what happens next year at Ohio State. Braxton Miller comes back, which I think he probably will. They'll still have him. They'll have JT Barrett, the second stringer who got hurt, and now Cardale Jones, who technically could go to the NBA, but he's only started 3 college games.
The NBA?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he could go to the NBA. I don't know.
It worked for, who was it? Charlie Ward? Wasn't he the 2-sport star at Florida State? Keep talking. I'll figure it out.
There's been a few, but yeah, I meant the NFL. Like technically, Cardale Jones could go to the NFL, but he's only started 3 games. Now, granted, they were 3 huge games and he won them convincingly, but you kind of want to see a little bit more. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see next year if all those guys come back. Probably Braxton Miller gets a starting job because he's a Heisman candidate. But do you really put Cardale back in the third string, or if you're him, do you transfer? Do you just go to the NFL? Like, I don't know. It'd be interesting.
No, he's got to go with the hot hand. I mean, probably just go to the NFL now. I mean, you don't want to jinx. You don't want to run the risk of being benched or placed even third string after that.
Right.
I mean, you gotta, while the iron's hot.
And granted, like it'll they'll probably. I'm sure there'll be a team that'll take him that's probably interested in him because he's a big quarterback with a big arm.
Probably the Jets.
Probably, but it's tough to try and evaluate a guy on three games like that. But if you look at the quarterback class this year, like after Marcus Mariota and after Jameis Winston, there's not a huge robust buffet of quarterbacks coming out this year.
A robust buffet
of quarterbacks. So, he might not go first, probably won't go first round, but he might be, second, third round talent for sure. Cool. Especially if there's a team that really, really likes him and thinks they could, work him as a project, not start him right away, but, put him behind, a good quarterback now and let him learn the system and learn the ways of the NFL.
Sure.
But
somebody might take a flyer on him in like the 7th or 8th round or something. I was right. It was Charlie Ward.
Charlie Ward.
Fun fact: he is a retired NBA player who won the Heisman Trophy. So there's a fun little trivia nugget.
Charlie Ward.
Mm-hmm. I just remember him from the. I think I had a trading card of him or something. Just something you file away for life.
Good old trading cards. All right.
What were we talking about? Oh. Football.
We're
talking about football. Where were we? So as an update, you and I have been going through this minefield that is the NFL playoffs. You are 2-6. I am 3-5.
Ugh.
The favorites are also 3-5. The home team is also 3-5. Cortana guessed 3 correct last week. They got burned, as we all did, on Denver.
Okay.
But everything else, it just took the favorites.
Yeah, I think, was it last weekend or the weekend before? I'm getting my weekends mixed up since we didn't do a podcast last week. But the one weekend, all the favorites won except one. I think that was this past weekend.
That's how it's been.
New England won,
Seattle,
and then
Green Bay, and then Denver lost. The week before, right. Carolina won, Pittsburgh lost, Indy won, Dallas won.
Right.
So covering has been a fickle fella because the teams haven't been winning by the margins that they should. But both weeks it's been 3. The favorite team has won, but against the spread is different story.
Yeah.
But it depends how you put down your cookies. If you just bet on the overall winner, then you're fine.
Well,
but that's not how we play. We have a higher level of difficulty. It's like if you're playing Diablo 3, you don't just go through on normal. You got to amp it up. Hard.
True.
Extreme. Or one death.
Extreme. Well, I did, before the playoffs started, I did make a couple wagers on a couple teams just for some long shot odds. And all of those are now out. So that's not helping me. I had Pittsburgh at 20-1. I had Ravens at 30-1. Carolina was 33-1. I had them, and Cincy was like 33 or 40-1.
Yeah, but the stupid thing about Pittsburgh is if they made it the next week, they probably would have done all right because they probably would have got Bell back.
Right.
They probably, let's see, who would have they played? They would have beat Baltimore. They were the 3. They would have played Denver,
who, as we saw this weekend, was very beatable.
Yeah. I mean, especially with Peyton. So
yeah, I don't know. The one thing I will say for Peyton is that at the end of each season, like especially like in this being towards the end of his career, he always takes considerable time to think about what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. He doesn't just say like right away, like, oh, I'm coming back next year. Like he always takes the time to try and figure it out. Like is this the right thing to do? Like, how am I feeling? Like he always takes that into consideration, which I think is very smart. And I was reading, or I saw earlier today, that John Elway wants Peyton back, but he's going to talk to him about it in like a month or so.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised to see Peyton back, but he's definitely not the same. His passes are off for sure.
Well, even with the coaching change, it's hard to say what he'll choose.
Yeah. I guess maybe he'll try and see who Denver gets as a head coach and maybe base his decision off that. But as to whether he retires or not, but I mean, in Peyton's career at Indy and at Denver, like I always thought that whoever the coach was for Peyton's team had the easiest job, or the offensive coordinator, I should say.
No, who was it? The punter or the backup quarterback?
Well, yeah,
the backup QB is probably the one.
Backup QB, yeah. But like if you're an offensive coordinator for a team with Peyton Manning, he's basically the coach. Mm-hmm. Like he's like, especially in Indianapolis, he was calling the plays. Like literally, he was calling the plays each time. So like if you're an offensive coordinator, you're basically just like the Queen of England. You're just like a headpiece. You're just there for appearances, but you get all the glory of it.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
Do you know who the backup quarterback is for Denver? Wow,
Brock
he's
Osweiler.
Tall. Wow, how do you know that?
Because he went to Arizona State.
Yeah,
I remember him in college because he's like 6'7".
Yes, he is.
And I remember because in the blowout in the Super Bowl, he didn't get a single snap. Actually, he doesn't get many snaps, even in a blowout or not.
He had 10 this year.
Right.
10 attempts.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, I don't know who the third string is. I just know who the backup is. But
we don't need no third string.
Yeah. Now, who do they think they are? The Arizona Cardinals?
Cheap shot.
Well.
All right, so here's something to wet your whistle. Since all of your horses are out of that race, our favorite sports book has all of the combinations for who will beat who for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
As well as the spreads for all 8 instances. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
You can also pick who you think the matchup's going to be.
Okay.
Clearly, the favorite is New England versus Seattle.
Yeah.
Obvi. That's 5-6. You got to lay down some cookies for that. Let's see. Of those two, Seattle beats New England 7-4. New England beats Seattle 13-5.
Okay.
Huh. Green Bay beats New England 15-2. That's not bad. New England beats Green Bay 6-1. That's not bad.
That is a little tempting.
If Green Bay makes it, you're getting at least 6-1. Right.
Yeah, because if you're confident Green Bay can win, you can kind of hedge your bets on that one.
Yep. Good jargon.
Good
name drop.
These are things you pick up.
Like your rules to go by. You pick up little buzzwords.
Yeah. Exactly.
The NFC's favored. That's interesting. Just as a quote early Seattle. Super Bowl line.
Yeah.
What was the season stats? Like, did they ever say during the season how the AFC did against the NFC? That's usually a thing they do for baseball. They usually bring that up, how well the AFC or the AL does against the NL. Did they ever say that?
I'm checking. Let's see.
So as for instance, let's look at Seattle. 12-4 on the whole year. But against the AFC, they lost against San Diego. They beat Denver in OT. They beat the Raiders, and they lost to the Chiefs. So they beat up the NFC, but they got beat up by the AFC. But I mean, then again, they are on a, 7-game winning streak.
I'm trying to find. Google's not helping me too much. Let's see. Let's try. I don't know. It's kind of showing like individual teams, not so much the overall.
Who will be the next head coach of the Denver Broncos? That's a prop. Gary Kubiak's the favorite.
Yeah, and I know... Who was it? Somebody was going to interview Todd Bowles of Arizona.
Well, he's there too.
At Denver?
Well, he's on the list of possibles. Okay. Gary Kubiak, and then Todd Bowles. He's the lowest. So if you put your cookies in on that,
what are his odds?
9-1.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who would be a good fit because Rex Ryan signed with Buffalo. Just don't know. Yeah. So anyway, I couldn't find anything about the AFC versus NFC, but I'm gonna move on now.
Well, if somebody finds it, you can tweet it at no punt number 10 DED.
You forgot the in.
Damn it.
Because I do that too. It's at no punt in the number 10
You're right.
DED.
You're right.
Yes.
Anyway.
Good try.
I tried to give us a plug.
Good effort. That's all right.
I'll just go back to what I'm good at, which is reading the lines because the first game, the number 2 seeded Green Bay Packers.
Oh, wait. I wanted to ask you, when we were talking about the spreads for the matchups. What about, like, if Indy makes a Super Bowl?
Indy makes a Super Bowl.
Is that just like impossible and they don't even give you a spread for that?
No, they're all there.
All right. Like, what's their spread against, or their odds against Seattle and Green Bay?
Let's see. Indy beating Seattle is 9-1. Okay. Indy beating Green Bay is 14-1.
And what about
Seattle beating Indy is 5-1. Green Bay beating Indy is 12-1.
See, that's kind of tempting.
Which one?
Either of those NFC teams beating Indy.
Well, the wrinkle is you got to figure out who's going to make it to begin with.
Well, right, and I mean the way Indy played last week, though. I mean, their secondary was very good against Denver. I mean, granted, Peyton didn't make many good throws, but I don't know if Indy can go into New England and
that's my. Well, we'll get there. Let's cross that bridge when we get there.
Let's go back to that first game.
Sunday. They're all Sunday games.
Okay.
Which I don't know. Wasn't that a thing where they did the one on Saturday, the one on Sunday?
I don't think so. Not in this late of the playoffs. I think they were both.
Why don't they do that?
I don't know. I guess they figure more people will watch back-to-back games Sunday.
Whatevs.
Yeah, well, you got to
think about it. Papa John's is like, dude, just have them on 2 different days. That's 2 different days worth of pizza. Then they do. They could do like a thing where if you order a pizza on Saturday, you get like a half off on Sunday or something. You get like a coupon or something.
But you got to think about, okay, for 17 weeks, guys watch football all day Sunday.
So why stop now? I'm not helping my cause.
They spend Saturday doing their honey-do list so they can watch football all day on Sunday. So I guess now that we're down to 2 games, they don't want to risk losing, people missing the games because they have stuff to do on Saturday.
Whatever, there's football to watch. Anyway,
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Trying to think out loud. I got you. I read you.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sunday at 3, the number 2 seeded Green Bay Packers.
It's a 3:00 game,
isn't it?
I mean, I didn't look at the times. I just
had it.
All right, so they're doing a mid-afternoon and then a late game.
Yep.
Whatever. Yeah, you're right. It's 3:05.
3:05. The Packers at Seattle. Seattle's favored by 7.5.
7.5.
That's a lot of points.
It is. But Seattle has, although they haven't really faced who has Seattle faced because they faced Cam Newton last week, who's they face Kaepernick twice. They face whoever started for Arizona.
It's bullpen by committee.
Yeah, exactly. The last time they played a really good quarterback. Not Mark Sanchez. They lost to Alex Smith in week 11.
Well, so if that's your standard.
Well, Alex Smith, who can't throw. Actually, did you see the Chiefs, the week 17? Dwayne Bowe had a catch, and all he had to do was fall into the end zone for a touchdown. He fumbles, and it's picked up by tight end Travis Kelce. So Kansas City successfully went all this season plus whatever 3 or 4 games last season without a catch or a touchdown from a wide receiver.
They might as well just hold out and just see how long they can go.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's like the Fenway sold out streak. They might as well just pamper it and BS it as long as they can.
I'd like to guess the over under on which round Kansas City wide receiver is taken in the fantasy draft next year.
Over under fantasy.
Like if your team drafts like my big league, we draft 19 players. So we had 19 rounds.
But is Dwayne Bowe there next year?
Well, I mean just a Kansas City receiver in general. Like is one taken before the 11th round? I don't know. I'm pretty sure he went really late in that league this year, so he might not be taken at all. All right. Anyway, going back to Seattle, they played Tony Romo week 6 when they lost. That was probably the last time they faced a top quarterback.
Quarterback.
Because Kaepernick had a terrible year.
Right.
They played St. Louis twice, and Oakland and Eli Manning. Yeah. Yeah, so it's been a long time since they played a quarterback of high caliber. So, yeah, I think that's too high. I'm going to go with Green Bay. I think Green Bay covers that.
Yep,
that's
similar. But do you think Seattle wins?
I think they do.
Okay.
I think they do. Their defense is just so good, and granted, Aaron Rodgers can do things on one leg most quarterbacks can't do on two. But Seattle's secondary is fantastic, and Cam Chancellor is playing out of his mind right now. And I mean, if they can just get Rodgers on the ground a couple times, that's really all they need to do. And Eddie Lacy needs to run well, which he's kind of had an up and down year. But Seattle just doesn't give up. They are third in the league in opponent rushing yards and first in opponent passing. So I just think Green Bay is going to have a tough time. Let's see what Green Bay. My internet loads. Green Bay is still waiting. Green Bay is 8th in passing yards and 11th in rushing yards on offense. So that'll be really, really interesting to watch those front lines, the offensive and defensive lines, see which team can control the trenches, because that's really where it's going to come down to. So you're taking Green Bay as well?
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm pretty much had the same thinking you did. It's going to be tough for Green Bay to get a running game going. I feel like Seattle's going to have so much pressure on their front four. I'm just.
But it's hard to pick against Aaron Rodgers. And especially too, because Seattle's receiver Paul Richardson got hurt, so I'm pretty sure he's out this game. I think he has Let's see. Sir Richardson. Like, he was starting to come along and have a solid year, but yeah, he's going to be out for this game.
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Rookie wide receiver. For Green Bay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be a weapon in the upcoming seasons. Like, he's already starting to show flashes of brilliance.
Seattle's got a pretty good secondary. I just feel like if Green Bay is just if they can't get a two-dimensional offense, it's going to be what does them in.
Right.
Plus Seattle can
but
score.
it's hard to pick against Aaron Rodgers.
I know.
I mean, we're not picking against him in the spread, just in the overall game.
But I mean, it's in Seattle. Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Seattle's going for trying to repeat as champions. I mean, do you think that works against them, the fact that they won last year, or do you think that builds into that pumps them up for this game? That they want to be the first repeat champion since what, Dallas?
Yeah. I mean, I think that pumps them up. Because I mean, yeah, it's
New
like,
England. Sorry,
it's like oh yeah, we want a championship. It's okay if we don't win it this year. No, I don't think that's the attitude at all. They're like, they want to do it again. Like, they want to become a dynasty. I think, like, they want to be considered one of the best teams of all time.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what Pete Carroll is shooting for. And I mean, it could happen. Like, I always wonder how they score points, especially passing with they don't have Percy Harvin anymore. Obviously, they don't. Doug Baldwin's a solid receiver, but on majority of other teams, he'd be a 2 or 3 option.
Yeah, but think about other good mobile quarterbacks. I mean,
well, right,
what kind of weapons do they usually have? They usually don't have that many. It's just the fact that they're able to run.
Well, true, but the problem is, not necessarily the problem, but the issue with other mobile quarterbacks is they get hurt and then they can't run as much. Like, look at RG3. Look at Cam Newton was second in the league in rushing for quarterbacks this year behind Russell Wilson, but like, even still, he had injuries he had to deal with. Russell Wilson doesn't get injured. Like, you don't hear about, he has a nagging hamstring injury. Like, you don't hear about anything that is going to potentially slow him down. And that's what makes him dangerous. So, I mean, and that definitely helps since they don't have, a stud receiver like some other teams do.
Yeah.
Like, however he does it, he makes it happen. And I just saw news that Jets hire Todd Bowles from the Cardinals as the new head coach.
That's out.
So the Jets have, yeah. So don't place bets on Todd Bowles at 9-1 to get the Denver job, because unless he fails his physical.
Is that a thing? Is there like anything that a coach could get in the way of him getting hired? Players have the physical.
Lying on his resume. That happened in college basketball. There was a coach who lied on his resume, and they pulled the job from him.
Idiot.
So, yeah. No, I think things will be okay with him. But all right. So yeah,
right,
that's,
so we're both on the same page.
We're both on the same page.
That's different.
All right, how about this next one?
Last game. What's your favorite early game? Age-old tradition. Favorite early game.
I'm gonna go Packers Seahawks. I mean,
Are there any other
there's
sports
so much riding on. On Saturday?
Yeah. Can we just be jackasses and just pick something else? Just pick something that's not related to football.
Well, there's some really good college basketball games on Saturday.
I guess there's that.
Duke plays Louisville.
That's not bad.
That's an interesting matchup. But football wise, I don't think there's anything. College is done.
There's no CFL or arena.
I don't know that I would pick that as a favorite. If there were.
Anyway, 6:00 AFC Championship, Indianapolis, the 4 seed, at New England, 1 seed. Pats are favored 7 points.
Do you think the Colts can pull this off?
No. I don't even think they cover.
You don't think so?
But what the hell do I know? I'm 3-5 so far this postseason, so
yeah.
I'm worse than a coin flip. I'm worse than a coin flip, so taking no information into it is better than me. 43 degrees, partly cloudy.
I really want to root for Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm gonna take the Colts.
I don't, and here's why. Their running game is gross.
True.
I mean, it would be nice to have him go to the Super Bowl just because it would be fun. He's young. He's clearly their team leader. Right. Unfortunately, I think that against either of the two NFC teams, that they would be much inferior to either of them. Right. And they would have too much around. I mean, it's like the Tony Romo problem all over again, in the sense that he would have to do too much, and I could just see him completely crumbling just because they can't rely on a running game, and it's just him passing it. Seattle zeroes in on that, and then they get no big plays, they get nothing, and it's just completely lopsided. I mean, but then again, last Super Bowl was so. Yeah.
No, I get you, and yeah, their running game is not good.
It's like the game's over before you make a dent in the chip dip. I mean, then what? And then you're just sitting around, eating food aimlessly. You're not excited. Yeah. You're not burning calories by cheering. You're not burning calories by, yelling or watching the game.
You're just waiting for halftime to see what Katy Perry wears.
Is she halftime?
Yes. She is.
Just her, or is it?
I think her special guest is Lenny Kravitz, if I was informed correctly.
Really?
But I did not confirm or disconfirm that suspicion. That's just what I heard.
Let's see, Super Bowl XLIX.
Which I believe this is the last year they're using Roman numerals.
Are you serious?
I think next year they're going to straight numbers.
Why? That would have been the best if they did XL. It's the extra large Super Bowl. Shorter,
funnier.
I guess. Anyway, halftime. Fans of Weird Al Yankovic launched an unsuccessful campaign to have him perform. So there's that.
Did you sign that petition?
No, I didn't know that. Perry was announced, and Lenny Kravitz would make an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time he had a song?
He actually had one.
It wasn't Hunger Games. Because we all know how that turned out for him.
Yeah. What did... He had one not too... Like, when I say not too long ago, I mean, like, within the last 2 years or so.
It's in some weird nebulous of time he had.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He was in Precious.
I didn't see that.
His last album was Strut. Ooh, Baby Baby, or The Chamber? Those are the ones that have Wikipedia links. I'm guessing The Chamber. That's the first single from that album. That hit number... well, in Italy it went platinum. I don't know.
They must really like him, and
it went number one in Hungary in the Radio's Top 40.
I wonder what song he'll perform then.
That's a good question.
I feel like he's got to do like one of his classic ones, like American Woman. His is a cover, but
one of his classics. American Woman,
or that Fly Away song,
Witchy Woman,
Witchy Woman.
Oh right.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to look up to see if they had listed some of the prop bets for the Super Bowl, like where you could bet the over under on how long the national anthem would be, stuff like that. But
I didn't see it yet.
I don't see that. I didn't see who was doing the national anthem, but all right, going back to the game anyway. I'm going to take the Colts. Like I said,
really?
I don't want to. I'm kind of scared to bet against Andrew Luck. He's like playing really well, and their running game was competent last week. Denver's defense didn't show up, on that front line. The Patriots aren't great against the run either, and I think with T.Y. Hilton, Reggie Wayne, and Moncrief, they can open up the passing game because those guys always seem to get, especially T.Y. Hilton, he always seems to get open, no matter who he's going against. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that they win outright, but I think they. It's a 4 or 5 point win for the Patriots.
Yeah, but speaking of didn't show up, and I forgot what you referenced when you said I had it ready in the chamber and then I forgot in like 10 seconds. But speaking of didn't show up, Jonas Gray didn't show up last week. He's questionable for this week. Mm-hmm. The leading rusher had 6 attempts for the Patriots. That was Tom Brady. Otherwise, A couple of guys had 3, so they didn't run the ball. This week, Jonas Gray is going to come off the bench. He's going to be not 100%, and he's going to have great game. It's going to go right through the Colts defense. And then Tom Brady's just going to throw like 2 or 3 touchdowns. That's all they need. And then Andrew Luck is going to run out of luck. He's going to get flustered because their run game's going to get stifled. They're going to have to rely too much on the pass. It's going to be, it's 42, so that's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's going to be New England. They're probably going to cover. It's probably going to be like a 31-21. That's my guess.
Yeah.
What is the over-under on this game?
Well, especially if I think Indianapolis might be wise to some of Belichick's tricks, after the Baltimore fiasco last week.
54 is the over-under, so I was pretty close on my guess. I was off by 2 points.
4. Yeah, Belichick, I don't know if you saw last week, Harbaugh was somewhat upset at a quote-unquote trick play by Bill Belichick and the Patriots where they only had four guys in the offensive line, and they listed a running back, Shane Vereen, as ineligible receiver, but they lined up quickly and snapped it, and Baltimore was like, who do we cover? I don't know who's eligible, who's ineligible. I mean, it was done by the rule book. Like it was allowed. Like they reported to the referees, but
by the rules, like Des Bryant's catch.
Right. I don't think John Harbaugh. John.
I always get
the one that coaches the Ravens.
I always get the Belushis mixed up too.
Yeah, Jim and John.
Jimmy John's? Did you ever
Jimmy
eat there?
John's? Yeah, it's good.
It's all right.
I like it.
It's a little expensive.
Yeah. Well,
Did you know?
I only go there for special occasions.
Did you know that you can order, or you could at least for the Steelers game, you could have ordered Permanis and they would have shipped it to you?
Oh yeah. I was aware of that. I didn't take advantage, but
you gotta eat it. You gotta go to Pittsburgh.
I know it would be weird eating it outside of downtown.
I feel so out of place.
It just doesn't taste as good. Yeah.
I'm taking New England.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if New England covers, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the Colts cover. So
nothing would surprise you.
Yeah. That's welcome to my NFL season.
What about if the Colts win?
I've learned not to be surprised. Well, if they win, I'll be surprised. How about that?
There you go.
You want to surprise me, Andrew Luck, then win the game. That's what he's going to have to do to surprise me. And then I'll root for the Colts just because.
So let's rewind back a little bit. If you could have picked a Super Bowl matchup from last week, all 8 teams are still alive from last week. What would your most interesting Super Bowl matchup have been?
Most interesting?
Sure. Well, the one you would have wanted to see the most.
Not thought about this. I don't know. What would you?
Well, I mean, what's your most interesting one now? The one you want to see out of these four?
I mean, I really think Seattle, New England would be a really good game. Or even Green Bay, New England, which is probably what it'll turn out to be. But like for underdog purposes and like because I'm an Andrew Luck fan, I would love to see Andrew Luck in the Super Bowl.
Well, I wouldn't, so that's out.
All right.
And then working through my Pareto optimal selection.
Words.
I know. I'm not even sure I know what that means anyway.
Well, I won't be able to tell you. I won't be able to tell you if you use it incorrectly. So
I know of it.
All right.
So with New England punching their ticket in my mind, I'm imagining them just giving their ticket over. They're punching the ticket. Yep, there it is. Okay, they're going to the Super Bowl. And who's their opponent going to be? I wouldn't find them playing Green Bay to be interesting.
No.
Well, I mean, it's like two of the same team. That's dumb.
Yeah.
But Seattle would be fun because then the whole conversation leading up to the Super Bowl is, can they repeat? You know, and then they're going to bring up Richard Sherman because of last year.
Right.
They're going to talk to Marshawn Lynch. He's going to say nothing.
And then get fined.
See, what I want for him to do is to have an entire interview where he responds with what? And then one of the reporters wises up and says, turn down for?
Or
and then all the reporters just like start freaking out and dancing.
Or what he could do is just record like an answer and then just like hit play when a reporter asks him a question.
Do like a soundboard.
Yeah.
Or he gets the
a soundboard would be great, especially yeah, like in Home Alone.
This is Marshawn Lynch, the father.
He's got like recording of Uncle Frank singing in the shower.
The soundboard would be funny.
Like if he did a soundboard and like each soundboard was like, one was like his normal voice, one was like him excited and like happy, one was him like sad or like, you know, dull or whatever, and like so like it just sounds completely like out of context, like a terrible dubbing, like from a Chinese like martial arts film or something like that. Like that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Actually, you know what would be funny is if whoever does bad lip reading did a Marshawn Lynch one. I think that would be funny.
Or if he talked like a bad lip reader.
Yeah.
Like
what if he comes out this Super Bowl and just answers every question like with perfection and like intelligence and enunciation, like just completely does a 180. And then after the Super Bowl, he goes back to just like not wanting to talk to the media. Like he's like, oh, I was just playing a trick on you guys this whole time. Like I can answer these questions. I can talk to the media, but I choose not to out of principle.
Does he have to say anything?
I think so. But like if I were him, if I really didn't want to talk to the media that much, I would just say like no comment.
If I wanted to be a jerk, I would just answer with things that aren't related to anything. How would you feel about that game? Oh, I agree that, you know, pepperoni pizza is the superior choice.
Well, see, like, yeah, that would be funny. Like, I would love to see that out of him.
Talk about the game. Really. Well, my level 70 Crusader in Diablo 3, I just gave him a cool hat.
Yeah, that would be great. You think Marshawn Lynch plays Diablo?
I haven't seen anyone with the username Marshawn Lynch, so. But then again, I haven't been playing the, you know, sparingly.
True.
Sporadically.
Yeah, sporadically works.
Yeah, that's a level up from sparingly.
All right.
So I did want to bring up one other thing now that we've sort of circled all of our...
Circled the wagon.
We didn't circle the wagon. That was the wrong idiom. I'm an idiom. Anyway, how did you feel about the 14 playoff? Because this is like the NFL's version of the 14 playoff. This is like the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl.
Right.
But not...
I liked it. I mean, it definitely has its flaws, like, and it definitely needs some work. I think they should have made it more of like an 8 team. But I also know that, you know, they could probably only expand the season so much for TV contracts and schools in general.
Well, when does their regular season stop? Is it like the first week of December?
Yeah, usually like conference championship games are like the first or second week of December, and then bowl games will start a couple weeks later.
See, if you were granted the ultimate power, how would you create the bowl championship playoff?
I would probably do maybe like a 16 team.
That's what I would probably do.
And I would probably use some of the quote unquote lesser bowl games. The only problem is then those schools are playing more games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. They get more money.
And I understand the 4 team because really those teams are only playing one extra game than they would have originally.
Sure.
For the most part. So like I kind of understand that, and like, you know, they're college kids, you know, how many games can they really play, you know, for health purposes kind of thing. Like their body's still developing. They're not like fully, completely, even though they look like fully, completely grown men, they're still growing and stuff. So, I mean, I understand the 4 team, but it would be nice to see something a little bigger just to get a few more teams involved. But I think this being the first year and having a 4 seed who a lot of people thought shouldn't have even been considered in to make the playoffs, win the whole thing is a credit to how teams can come together and play. Like, okay, they're not number 1 in the nation. Doesn't matter. They can beat number 1 in the nation and then go on to beat number 2 in the nation.
Well, that's the thing with the ranking system. It's how do you adequately compare 2 teams that have almost no overlap? I mean, right. For example, it's like if you did that in the NFL, when Dallas beats Seattle, it's like, well, you know, they play, you know, a handful of teams in common, so, you know, this should happen. It's like, what if the NFL picked their playoff seeds based on like a ranking system?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That would.
It's like if they had more games of overlap, it would be all right. Like if you played like 3 common opponents with, like if Ohio State and Oregon had 3 or 4 games where they played the same teams, but they don't do that. You play like what, 3 non-conference games and then the rest you're in conference.
Yeah, for the most part.
So there's just like
and that's the thing. They played 12 or 13 games in a regular season, and that's actually less than that.
It's 11 or 12. Isn't it?
It's 11 or 12 games in a regular season. But I mean, the one thing this did too this year was it did not, it took the championship belt away from the SEC because they were so dominant like the past 5-6 years.
Yep. Big Ten just played their Money in the Bank, and they were like, "I'm taking that belt. 1, 2, 3, done."
Yeah. The final
1, 2,
game
3,
came
4
down
seed.
The final game came down to the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. Actually, Alabama was the only SEC team in the 14 playoff.
SEC later.
Yeah, because Florida State was ACC, and yeah, I don't know. I liked it. Like I think it's good for college football. I'd be interested to see what kind of changes they make for next season or the upcoming years. But I think. I haven't really heard too many people complaining about it like they do with the BCS rankings.
See, the only thing that I would like to see is if they should do like a big realignment so that you have like 4 or 6 conferences, and it's not like everybody gets tossed in, but it's like the legitimate Division I schools get tossed in like, I don't know, 4 or 6 conferences. The conference winner gets a bid. And then you do like 2 or 3 at-large bids. And then you do like an 18 playoff. That way the schools are only playing 3 extra games. And that way it's not this subjective, non-overlapping ranking system.
Right, but then you're still going to have the thing where it's like, which teams are deserving of the at-large bids? Like,
there's that. Isn't that how they kind of do it for basketball, where the conference winners get, and then they sort of whittle it down by using at-large?
Well, right. And that happens every year in basketball too. It's like, well, there's always going to be this team that people think should make it over one of the other teams that made it.
Right.
And like, it's college basketball's like, I love that it's a 64 team field. Actually, well, technically it's more because they do the play-in rounds.
Like 68 or 7, some arbitrary number?
Yes, it's 68. Why
don't they just all get invited?
Well, that'd be a big party.
Play in from there.
Yeah. But although one thing that the NCAA did, they kept trying to push the playing game, the 2 playing games as like quote unquote the first round.
That's dumb.
Like they kept calling it that, and they kept pushing that. They finally were like admitted. They were like, all right, yeah, that's stupid. Like the first round is Thursday when there's 32 games, 16 games going on Thursday, 16 games going on Friday. Like that's the first round. That's the legitimate first round. That's the day I always take off work.
Put 3 TVs next to each other.
Three TVs and a computer in my living room and just veg out on college basketball. Oh, it's like
fill a giant bowl with cereal.
Oh my gosh. No, well, I usually order a pizza.
Oh, well, that's even better.
Usually get a pizza, sit back. Oh, it's so great. Watch college basketball from noon till like midnight. Oh, what a day. What a day. But yeah, no, I think this playoff system is good for college football. I'm just curious how they're gonna change things in the future. See where it goes from here.
It's better at least.
Sure. It is. It's definitely better than having a computer system try and rank everything, and people constantly arguing over
how many conferences are there now?
Oh,
I mean, like legitimate ones. Like there's the Pac-12, there's the SEC,
Big Ten, Big 12. I don't know. My mind's going blank. So there's probably like 5 or 6 major ones for the most part.
Big 10, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, 4, ACC, Big East.
Big East.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
And then it gets to like the Mountain West, Independent.
Right.
The WAC. So you've got 6. So you do like each. I don't know, like maybe they get buys or something, and then there's like, I don't know, like some weird number of at-large bids or something, and they do a play-in. Like you winning the conference gives you the buy, or so, like gives you some sort of advantage.
Well, see, the problem is not every conference has a championship game, so there could be 2 teams that tie for the championship. So you would have to institute a championship game then.
They just, I'm spitballing.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just trying to we're not going to solve this tonight. We're trying.
Put on a pot of coffee, order a pizza, get your Mr. Pibb. We're going to figure this out. We're not leaving. This is the 12 Angry Men version of the Football Bowl series. Is it still called the Football Bowl series? Isn't it? Isn't it like FBS schools? Isn't that like the the Venn diagram of
I guess they're still using that term. Yeah, I guess so.
I know what a Venn diagram is. I can say I know what that means.
All right.
It's a pretty picture with circles.
A topic non-sports related, but it's one that you and I both have vetted interest in.
We'll see about that.
Next Friday, King of the Nerds returns to TBS. And I know you're still a hopeful contestant. You didn't make it this season.
I am sour.
You just gotta persevere, and one of these times you'll make it to Nerdvana.
I know.
And you'll get that Little Caesars hot and ready.
Oh, that's the best part. The food alone is worth the trip.
Yeah, you said it. I keep seeing commercials for it. I am. I'll be honest. I'm a bit excited. I'm starting to kind of be concerned about how nerdy or geeky some of these contestants actually are, and maybe they're just putting on an act.
Oh, you think they're fake nerds?
Some of them seem so like overdone that like they're not. It doesn't seem accurate to me.
Like they're too nerdy, or that they're
like they come across like they're trying too hard to be nerds, strictly for the sake of the show.
Interesting.
But I don't know. I'm still gonna watch, of course. Like,
Well, the stupid thing is this season they get a lot of people that are like internet personalities, or like the one guy was on Jeopardy like 5 times.
right.
So it's not like they're picking like recluse people that, you know,
Like Zach from last year.
yeah. I mean, they're picking people that are
my
already
gosh.
established. It's like you already have to have a giant
what a
following.
spitfire that guy was.
Oh, he was such a good one.
Like, you wanted to hate him, but then you also felt sorry for him.
You know what? That's the
But then
point.
he would do something stupid, and you'd be like, "That guy's an idiot."
It's like when my
And then he got
girlfriend
knocked-
says,
then he
"I
got
hate that
knocked out of
character,"
yourself.
I say, "You're supposed to hate that character." That's the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he was such a fun one.
Yeah, he was. But yeah, I mean,
All the hot
this-
and ready pizza you can eat.
is this the third season?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so far both the first 2 seasons have been won by a woman. Mm-hmm. So maybe that'll change this year. The one thing
If
that's
I were
interesting,
there,
well,
but
we'll have to see how many of some of these tests you would pass. But
some of the D&D ones I wouldn't.
yeah,
But like the one last year where they had to ride the broom like Harry Potter and throw.
oh yeah, yeah. That was the very first one.
Yeah.
There was also one, I think it was last season, where it was like Jeopardy, but with comic book questions. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Justin would kill at this. But maybe next year's your year. Maybe next year.
I'm still sorry.
But the one thing I thought was interesting is that they're starting out with an even number. Because the first 2 seasons, they start out with an odd number, so they pick teams. There's always someone left, and then there's some twist and a twist.
Well, I think they figured out that the kids figure it out. It's
Right.
it's exactly why the real world is stupid this year, because they know that there's a twist. They already
Yeah.
figured it out.
What was the twist in the real world? I don't watch that, so
Well, last season was they would bring in like an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, and they lived there. And then this year it was they bring in somebody that's like somebody that doesn't like them. So it might be an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend. The one girl was her boss.
just forcing awkward moments.
Right, but then the dumb thing is that they figured it out beforehand. Because they said, oh, well, last season it was they bring their ex-girlfriend or boyfriend. What's the twist going to be this season? So they already figured it out.
Oh.
So it's dumb. And the other thing is they bring them in one at a time. So it's like they get overwhelmed because it's just this one person that's in from like the 7 people in the house have already built this relationship. The one person comes in and then they just basically get eaten up by the other 7 because they figure, you know, we're a family already. You can't break this dynamic. Done.
The best real world is the Chappelle Show real world.
That's good. The real world.
Yeah. That. I miss that show. All right, so we have King of the Nerds starting next week. Like I said, kind of excited for that. So, I'm sure we'll discuss a little bit more next week too. So, what do you have for comic books this week, Justin?
There's a big one. A big one. Star Wars #1 comes back to Marvel. It left the galaxy of Dark Horse Comics, made its way back to Marvel, and it's projected to sell over 1 million copies. It's a bit cheap because they have like 60 variants, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
It's still going to sell. It's gangbusters, but
did Marvel acquire those rights recently, or
is it? Yeah, I think it was like some weird thing with it was like piggybacking off of Disney acquiring Star Wars that they then got the comic book license back.
Okay.
Because they used to have it back when the movies came out. Because when the movies came out, Marvel was doing like you know how they would do like the novel adaptations of movies like Baby's Day Out and
right.
I thought that was gonna get a bigger laugh, but
I was
Baby's Day Out is a legitimate movie. How dare you?
Well, no, because I was just thinking you were talking about novelization of movies and stuff, and I was just thinking about the time I was at Barnes and Nobles and I saw a novelization of Star Wars, and I like sent you that picture, and your response was like, "Pew pew," goes Han's laser.
That's legit. No, that's a legitimate. Like when I was younger, I read the Baby's Day Out one, and I read what was the other one? Dennis the Menace.
Oh yeah, Dennis the Menace was good.
They always had deleted scenes in there too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Marvel used to publish them back in the 70s and 80s, and now they're back at Marvel. They have the ongoing series starts this week. They have a whole bunch of miniseries that they're going to do. There's going to be a Darth Vader series. It is set between episodes 4 and 5.
Okay.
So Han and Leia, kind of that weird flirty thing. Luke's learning to use the Force.
Yeah.
Chewie's being Chewie.
Han's a scruffy looking.
Yeah. But it's done by the guy that writes Thor, Jason Aaron.
Okay.
He wrote Original Sin, right? I don't want to get this wrong. I'm pretty sure he did.
Check your facts.
I'm pretty sure he did. But that's the big one.
Okay.
There's other good stuff, but I mean, that's the big one.
All right. Good to know. And that'll be available on the website Wednesday, correct?
Yep.
Tomorrow. Okay. Excellent. How is Diablo going for you? You enjoying it?
We beat it. Now we're playing it again.
Okay.
Just as a different character. There's different classes of character. It's like if you beat the Stick of Truth, you go back and you beat it again as a different type.
Right. As a different type. Correct. Yep. Which I need to do.
That was a good game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll probably end up getting Diablo. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
It's pretty cool.
Ray's trying to get me in on Destiny to play online.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah. So I might do that if...
That was on sale. Oh, they are having a sale. PlayStation is.
Oh, does that include Destiny?
I don't...
I'm trying to figure out if that's like... I guess it depends on how much it is, but I feel like that's one where I might want like the actual game as opposed to a download.
Well, it was on sale during the holiday season.
I know. I missed out on that. I didn't...
No, it's not. It's not lumped in that.
All right. Well, anything else you want to...
Do you want Need for Speed Rivals? Because that's in there.
I'm all right. I think I'm okay. I'm still playing Last of Us.
Oh, I have to get back to that.
Yeah.
That's probably good. No, what was the one? It was between that and Tomb Raider for what I'm going to do after Diablo. Probably be Tomb Raider.
I know your missus likes Tomb Raider.
She loves Tomb Raider. We all have those games that you get day one. Hers is Tomb Raider and Little Big Planet. Mine's the Arkham games.
Yeah, mine's probably Assassin's Creed. Lately I've been getting those since the day they come out. Although I do need to get Unity now that I have a PS4.
Unity.
So yeah, that might be after The Last of Us for me. All right. Anything else you wanna plug, discuss?
Nope. Dunzo. Pizza. Right. Mr. Pibb.
All right. Well, you finish hashing out the details for the college football playoffs to make them perfect, and
I will write a strong worded letter.
I'm gonna get some sleep while you do that. We'll work in shifts. So you take first shift.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. Yeah. So that'll do it for us here on No Pun Intended podcast here on Entertainment Buddha. We'll be back again next week to discuss the big game,
the Super Bowl. No, the Pro Bowl isn't. Wait, I don't remember.
Well, the Pro Bowl is before the Super Bowl, but
that's stupid.
Yeah. We can complain about the Pro Bowl next week on next week's cast once we find out who is playing in the Super Bowl. You're okay. Let's do this real quick. Your final Super Bowl prediction right now. Who's it going to be?
Seattle beats New England.
Handily
beats New England.
All right. I'm gonna say. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Seattle, New England too, and I think Seattle repeats. Their defense is just too good. Defense wins championships as they showed last year. All right, well there we agree on that.
We agree sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. All right, yeah. So tune back in next week. We'll see if that prediction actually comes to fruition. At least
Good
the matchup
word.
anyway. And I rhymed it with prediction.
Ooh, even better.
Prediction and fruition. Yeah, be sure to check us out online, www.entertainmentbuddha.com. Lots of stuff going on the site with video games, movies. There's a new Avengers Age of Ultron trailer that came out during the National Championship game, so be sure to check that. And as we said, Justin has his weekly comic book spotlight, so it's all on the site. Go check it out. Follow us on Twitter at NoPuntIn, the number 10 DED. Also at Ent Buddha, ENTBUDDHA. And I think that'll do it for this week. So Justin, go ahead,
Shut
take
it
us
down.
out. Just gonna jump in front of me before I finish talking.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
Done.
I'm the interrupting. Shut it down.
Interrupting. Shut it down.
Shut it
Here's what-
down. Shut it down. Shut it down.